All right, let's just jump right in. Look, if you've ever laid a laminate floor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just flying through the main part of the room. Everything's clicking into place. And then, bam, the doorway. It is, without a doubt, the one spot that can make or break your whole project. So today, we are going to break down the pro method for conquering it. And you know, this quote from flooring contractor James Miller just hits the nail on the head. He calls doorways the line in the sand. It's where the easy part ends and the real skill, the real craft, truly begins. You can cruise through a room, no problem, but the doorway, that's where the rubber really meets the road.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? How in the world do the pros get that seamless factory finish look every single time? How do they turn what feels like a total headache into a perfectly smooth transition? Well, that's exactly what we're about to unpack.
We've got a really clear roadmap for you. First, we'll talk about why doorways are so darn tricky. Then, we'll get into the essential toolkit you'll need. After that, the critical prep work, the core 7-step method, and finally, how to stick the landing with those pro finishing touches.
So, let's start with the doorway challenge. The source material calls this the project's choke point, and that is the perfect description. It's where these tight spaces, weird angles, and unforgiving door jambs all conspire to test your patience and your precision.
And believe me, the stakes couldn't be higher in this little spot. When you get a doorway right, the whole floor just flows beautifully from one room to the next. But a mistake? Oof, it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it can totally undermine all that hard work you put into the rest of the room.
Okay, on to Section 2, your Pro Toolkit. Having the right gear isn't just about making the job easier, not at all. It's about making a professional result even possible. So let's take a look inside an expert's tool bag.
Now, what's really important here are these two key cutting tools. First, the jam saw, something like the Roberts Super 6, is your secret weapon for undercutting the trim. That lets the flooring slide right underneath for a clean, built-in look. And for those even tighter spots, an oscillating multi-tool, like the recommended Flex model, gives you just incredible precision.
Underlayment is also absolutely crucial, especially at a threshold. I mean, sure, basic foam is an option if you're on a tight budget, but the pros, they lean towards a sound-reducing type, like the Quiet Walk brand. Why? Because it doesn't just quiet down footsteps in a high-traffic area, it also gives you a vital moisture barrier.
And of course, you've got your finishing tools. We're talking about a tapping block and a pull bar for getting those planks snug in tight spots, quality transition strips, a really strong adhesive like Loctite PL Premium, and, this is important, fine-tooth blades to keep your cuts perfectly clean and splinter-free. These little details, they make all the difference.
All right, on to Section 3, prepping for success. You know, there's a saying in the source material, a good start makes for an easy finish. And man, this is where that philosophy really comes to life. This prep work is the absolute backbone of a professional job.
The single most important prep technique, and I can't stress this enough, is undercutting. As you can see, it's the trick to making the floor look like it was always part of the house, not just something you laid on top. For a truly clean finish, this is a non-negotiable step. The whole prep process really just boils down to these 4 keys. 1. Clean the area like you mean it. 2. Undercut those jambs. And here's a brilliant tip. Use a scrap of your actual flooring as a height guide. 3. Make sure that subfloor is level. And 4. Don't forget that 1/4-inch expansion gap. You need it everywhere. And now, it's time for the main event. Section 4, the 7-step method. This is it. This is the proven, step-by-step process that brings all that prep and all the right tools together for a flawless installation. That's it. Just 7 deliberate, well-executed steps. This isn't about rushing through it. It's all about precision. So let's break them down.
So the first 4 steps are all about planning and being careful. 1. Measure meticulously. A shortcut here is a complete disaster. 2. Undercut your jambs, just like we talked about. 3. Keep that expansion space with spacers. And 4, and this is so important, do a dry fit first. This little dress rehearsal lets you check all your cuts before you commit and lock anything in.
And here is just a fantastic pro tip that shows a master's touch. To make sure those cuts are absolutely perfect, lay a strip of painter's tape along your cut line. It's such a simple trick, but it prevents the top layer from chipping and gives you an edge that looks, as they say, sharp as a tack. Now we're in the home stretch with the last 3 steps. 5.
Make your precise cuts and any weird notches with a fine-toothed jigsaw blade. 6. Carefully click and lock those planks into place. Use a pull bar to get them nice and snug without damaging anything. And finally, 7. Install that transition strip with a strong adhesive for a permanent rock-solid finish.
Okay, let's get into our final section, finishing like a pro. Because let's be real, not every doorway is a perfect straight shot. This is all about how to handle the curveballs that older homes or different flooring types are definitely going to throw at you.
So think of this slide as your go-to cheat sheet for tricky situations. You've got different floor heights? Easy. Grab a reducer molding for a nice, smooth slope. Going from laminate to carpet? A T-molding is your best friend here. It stops that carpet from fraying. And what about those wonky, uneven door frames we all have in our houses? Well, you might have to carefully undercut a little more or even shim the laminate so it sits perfectly flush. And for those hallways or entryways that get a ton of foot traffic, for sure don't skimp on this part. Get a durable metal or a high-quality wood transition strip. It'll be worth it.
And here's one last super crucial piece of advice. When you get to that final transition strip, you have to remember this golden rule from the source. Measure twice, glue once. Seriously, once that powerful adhesive is down, it's not going anywhere. So you have to be absolutely certain before you commit.
And that really is what this is all about. Mastering the doorway is about so much more than just one small space. It's the detail that elevates the entire project. It's what creates that seamless flow, making your new floor look truly integrated, professional, and just right.
By breaking down this challenge into a clear process with the right tools and the right techniques, something that once seemed really intimidating suddenly becomes totally manageable. It just goes to show that with the right knowledge, you can absolutely achieve a professional finish. So, now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build next?